Hello Magic fans, welcome back to MTG Money. I'm Matt, your host and owner of EC Hipstar Games in charming Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So I know last week, 2 weeks ago, I said that we were going to spend the next episode looking at Kaldheim spoilers. I'm actually going to put that off until probably next week, because to do so would be to ignore the giant elephant in the room. And you might be aware, maybe not, but what I'm talking about is a PSA Grade 10 Alpha Black Lotus signed by artist Christopher Rush that is posted on eBay at the moment. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to switch over to my computer screen here, and we're going to kind of dive in to the card itself and what it might mean going forward for Magic prices. And the reason we're going to take a look at this is, if you remember back in, I believe, November, the Charizard Grade 10 was sold to former rapper Logic for, I believe, $280,000 or so, and has since gone even higher to, I believe, about $350,000 since then. And if you're aware, Pokemon prices have really exploded along with interest in the game because of that giant sale. So let's go ahead and switch over to my computer screen here. And we're going to take a look at this eBay auction, which currently, at the time of this filming, which is Tuesday at about 1:30 Central Time here, is sitting at $310,000. Now, if you've tracked this auction at all, it has actually popped up above $700,000, but the seller here, PWCC, who sells a lot of graded trading cards, they actually reserve the right to retract bids. So they have had to do that a couple of times for whatever reason, but currently it's been holding at about this $310,000 range. That said, if it gets up to $700,000, that's obviously going to blow that Charizard out of the water and kind of set a new status for what a trading card can sell for, let alone if it goes over $1 million. So the real question here is whether or not this auction for the Alpha Black Lotus is going to push interest in Magic the same way Charizard did for Pokemon. Now, Pokemon does have a couple things going for it that Magic does not, mainly being that it was a giant fad when it came out and has continued to have success with Pokemon Go and obviously the games that come out every couple of years, and has a real cultural awareness that Magic doesn't. However, one of the things that could happen if this Black Lotus, especially if it clears $1 million, but maybe if it even clears $500,000, and probably just by beating the price of that Charizard, is that it's going to bring some cultural awareness to Magic, or of Magic to the mainstream. One other thing to look at here when we are checking these out is this is a population report from PSA for Charizard. And you can see here that there are actually 121 copies of a Gem Mint 10 Charizard. And you can also see by the population report that there are more graded copies of Charizard than there are Alpha Black Lotuses even in existence. If you know this, maybe you don't, the print run of Magic's Alpha set was so small that there's actually only 1,100 cards, or 1,100 of each rare that were printed. So we can assume that our upper number for Black Lotus from Alpha is 1,100, and from those, you can only imagine how few are going to be remaining that would even be able to grade a Gem Mint 10. We can look over here. This is the PSA site again. It does show that there are 7 available. So contrast that again to the 121 Charizards that are in existence here. And you can imagine how high this Alpha Black Lotus could possibly go. So now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what this means for the prices of Magic cards in general, assuming that that Black Lotus does clear some of these thresholds in the remaining 8 days of this auction. One thing we can expect to see is that reserve list prices, which are already going insane due to the lack of supply, should continue to increase. Just going on my desk right now is a revised Taiga that I picked up. I would expect all of the dual lands, really anything playable off the reserve list, to increase. And Along with that, probably Alpha and Beta I would expect to increase, even though there might not be a reserved list. They are kind of in their own rarity that there aren't any more of them printed. They do have that history being from 1993 and 94, and I would expect the prices on those to increase across the board. And one other thing that we might see is that if this auction brings that cultural awareness of the mainstream to Magic, we might just see an increase in prices across the board for anything playable. I'm not expecting to see your penny commons go up to $1 or $2 or $10 or anything overnight, but you might see increases on things that haven't had a reprint in a little while, possibly like the fetch lands or something like that. But again, that's all kind of remains to be seen. If I'm investing in the possibility of this spike, I'm really looking at Alpha, Beta, and probably things off the reserve list. And one other thing that we can check out here, if you'll just bear with me for a second, we'll head over to MTG stocks, and you can actually see that other people have had this same idea, because the MTG stocks interest page for the day is full of reserved list cards. So we do have another 8 days to see how this auction ends up. At that time, we'll see what kind of effect this has on the prices of the Magic market as a whole. And keep in mind, again, like we mentioned last episode or the last couple episodes, that we do have another stimulus check coming from the sounds of it, along with tax return season. So what I'm predicting is probably a huge spring for Magic prices. And that wraps up this somewhat impromptu show. Join me here again on Thursday as I'm going to be talking about speculation as it relates to Magic cards, and what a perfect time with this Black Lotus and the effect that it might have on card prices. And then join me here next week. We're going to get into that Kaldheim spoiler, and one other thing we're going to look at is the possibility that Wizards could reprint reserved list cards and how they might go about doing that. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in any of those episodes or you like what I'm doing, please go ahead, like the show, and subscribe, and I will see you here on Thursday for that episode on speculation.